With Bitcoin currently sitting thousands of dollars above its CME gap around $78,000, is the short-term price destined to dump? Or are the Moon Boys plotting something quite the opposite? And for the first time since late 2023, early 2024, when Bitcoin achieved its new all-time highs, altcoins are doing something much bigger than the average Moon Boy realizes. One thing is for sure, I need you to sit down before you watch this video, because honestly, after you're done, your life is not going to be the same. So if you're new here and ready to make life-changing gains, hit that like, subscribe, get signed up to FemeX Blow if you do want to buy Bitcoin altcoins or trade and receive up to a $30,000 deposit bonus limited time. And without any further ado, let's completely and absolutely jump into the charts, where we see Bitcoin's price right now is sitting right where it's been for the past few days. But before we look at Bitcoin specifically, I want to talk about altcoins primarily. This is absolutely gigantic. So we see, according to Mustache on X, there is a 7-year trend line that is holding for altcoins and that has held. And this cycle looks very similar to the previous one. Completely a massive trend line. We see that altcoins have absolutely, as we know from Bitcoin dominance, if we just look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, the higher this goes, the more Bitcoin has been dominating, basically, and the more altcoins have been getting fiddled, diddled, reached around, and thrown in the trash. And since the end of 2022, altcoins have been completely dumped on. So as you can see, looking at this 7-year trend line, we have barely hung on to it. I think altcoins are overdue for a large move to the upside. And specifically, we look at the 2019 to 2021 accumulation type period for altcoins. It looks exactly identical to where we are now, where basically after the last 7 months, ever since topping out in February, March of 2024, Bitcoin, yes, looks insanely explosive, but altcoins as well just look like they are absolutely ready to pump big time. And another chart I want to show you is this. We see basically altcoins leaving the reaccumulation period in this wick-off cycle schematic here, basically about to enter the mark-up period, where then we see distribution and a rinse and repeat of this entire thing, then heading back into accumulation. So what does this mean? Well, basically, the pump that we saw, if we actually zoom out, the pump that we saw for the entire altcoin market back here from about the beginning of October to about the end of February, so a solid couple of months, going from about 500 billion in market cap to 1.2 trillion. So a nice, over doubling. It over doubled the entire crypto market cap in that 4 to 5 month period. This was the very first part. We've spent the last 7 or 8 months, just like Bitcoin, kind of going down and at this point, we have not made new all-time highs in the altcoin market in terms of the total 2 or total 3 chart. Obviously, Bitcoin has made new all-time highs, but altcoins are going to catch up soon. And basically, this chart right here illustrates that we are right now in this reaccumulation period, however, towards the very end of it. We're basically right about here, and you can see the markup period is obviously much closer than I think I think that's exactly where we are in the cycle. And then we will be entering the distribution and more dumpy phase. So basically, are you too late to buy altcoins? In my opinion, it's a hard no. In my opinion, it's a hard no. I don't think you're too late at all. I think obviously you had way better entries over the past year, but are you absolutely too late and you can't benefit at all? My answer would be no, I don't think you're too late yet. But I think you will be too late very, very, very soon if you're not invested yet. We also see the entire altcoin market, just like Bitcoin, basically in a gigantic multi-year cup and handle pattern. Pretty much any way you look at this, you can find multiple massive confirmations for the altcoin space, just like Bitcoin as well, of how ready to move to the upside we are, whether it's this massive cup and handle, whether it is this wyckoff, whether it is basically just a massive bull flag. Overall, it's just very obvious where we are in this cycle. Everything is lining up so perfectly. Now that doesn't mean everyone's going to be it's all going to be sunshine and rainbows for everyone. No, as many people know, most people lose all their gains. Most people don't even hold on to all their gains. So while it might seem too good to be true, That's exactly what the beginning of euphoria and what all of this, the real crypto bull market does to people. It seems like it's too good to be true. It happens, and then psychology destroys people, and people end up not taking profit and writing it all back to zero, or their entry price or something like that. So basically, you have an amazing opportunity in front of you. Just don't waste it, okay? Just because things look amazing right now, and they do, just because that's the case, does not mean you're going to come out of this golden, right? You have to make good decisions in the midst of all the pumping that I believe is about to come. Now, in regards to Bitcoin specifically, I want to highlight a few things. Obviously, I think this is a really good way to explain it. Whereas people think that US dollar is just chilling, holding its value, and Bitcoin's going up against it, when it's the opposite. Bitcoin is basically just holding its value while the US dollar gets less and less valuable. And Bitcoin is just, kind of that baseline, and people don't understand that. I mean, basically, if you're not invested and you think, I think that's kind of like the big transition, the big difference between people that understand Bitcoin and the people that don't is this. I mean, it's the simplest chart, but this kind of illustrates it, I think, the best. Inflation, right? Infinite supply is bad. Deflation, limited supply is good, okay? Why would you want to invest your money in something that continuously loses value over time and they print more and more of it, like monopoly money? If you're smart, that's not what you want to store your assets in. You want to store something in something that cannot be manipulated, cannot be printed out of thin air. If I told you, hey, I'll give you $1,000 for if you give me $1,000 in monopoly money, you'd probably say yes, because you don't want monopoly money, right? Because it's not real money, just like the US dollar. We also see, this is huge, Senator Loomis introducing the bill S4912, which is the Bitcoin Act of 2024, introduced U.S. Congress into U.S. Congress for vote. Basically, Part A reads, purchase not more than 200,000 Bitcoins per year over 5 years for a total of about 1 million Bitcoin. Part B is conducting purchases in a transparent and strategic manner to minimize market disruption. And Part C is holding Bitcoin acquired under this section in trust for the U.S., just very big. It's actually happening. That's the bigger news here. And as well, for all the moon boys out there, clearly the Bitcoin adoption curve, we're at the same number of users as the internet had back in 1999 before it completely took off. And now I've been talking about the S-curve specifically a lot over the past couple weeks, and that is because I truly think this is the inflection point of the S-curve for Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is about to have this internet moment in terms of just complete upside, and that's the most exciting thing. I think, and I've been telling my friends this as well, I personally believe that this cycle is the true mainstream, the true adoption, because remember, 2020 and 2021, a lot of new people for the first time, like Bitcoin for the first time kind of became a worldwide word. Like people kind of had heard about it, right? Not everyone was invested, not everybody was accepting of it, obviously, but it was the first time the entire world was kind of introduced to it. This time, I think, will be the first time the entire world buys it, I think. This is the time where actual adoption happens, in my opinion. And I think that's why I said this. I think this is going to be the most impactful bull run of all time. I think it's going to be the biggest bull run of all time in terms of the most ever people getting involved, but also the beginning of the S-curve, I believe, or the inflection point of the S-curve. We also see that Manhattan U.S. attorney to scale back crypto cases. We saw that Gary Gensler basically is like resigning. It's not looking good for Gary, which is awesome for everybody that's involved in the space. He was a total bad actor. Hopefully he gets punishment for what him and Elizabeth Warren, what these people were trying to do to the crypto industry. Hopefully something like that actually comes out of it, where these people that were truly just trying to screw over U.S. investors and in turn also investors worldwide because of their strict policies against crypto for literally no reason. I think these people deserve punishment. And I think that, even if they don't get it, I think the space is in such a better place that they don't have any influence now and they won't have any power. But overall, I think they honestly deserve punishment for what they have been. And there's lawsuits against them as well. I hope more come. And I think that, potentially with this administration, we actually see these people we see justice for the people that have been trying to destroy crypto in the US. Keep in mind, back in the 2021 bull run, when Bitcoin went from, at its low is about 3,000 up to about 69,000. Nice. During that time, regulations with crypto were not good. There was no clear rules. There was not a good positive environment around it. There was a lot of speculation that, hey, people are going to try to stifle crypto, especially in the US, and people were fearful. This is the first bull run where not only do we not have that, we have the opposite. We have an administration that is openly pro-crypto and very likely going to actually put pro-crypto policies in place. Not to mention, this bull run is the very first one. We have the very first, multiple, but Bitcoin spot ETFs ever, which are quite literally the most record-breaking Bitcoin spot ETFs that have ever happened, right? Every metric, they are the most successful ETFs, period. These Bitcoin ETFs are accumulating volume and assets unlike anything we've ever seen, okay? Those two factors alone, the policies that are likely coming that are positive pro-crypto, and the Bitcoin spot ETFs that are just eating up, just gobbling up Bitcoin like never before, I think those are honestly enough to send this market crazy parabolic, unlike anything we've seen. Bitcoin had an explosive bull market last time, and that was with only headwinds. This time, it looks like we only have tailwinds, meaning things actually lifting us up and making this bull run go higher, whereas before, there were a lot of things in front of us that were, pretty much things that were only getting in the way of a true Bitcoin adoption. This time, it seems that quite the opposite, which is, in my opinion, the craziest part of all of this. So far, it's been very, very positive. And we do have the CME gap right down here around 78,000. Will Bitcoin have to have a dump potentially come down here? Hey, it's something that I don't think anyone should write off. It's definitely possible. It has been only a couple of days, but Bitcoin's sitting right around like that $90,000 level. If we get a pullback, we haven't had a real pullback or back test really since we started lifting off above 65,000. So, hey, I'm not... it's possible we get that. I personally, what I'm going to be doing, just straight up, just entering as many long positions as I can with what little money I have left that is not invested. I treat every dip, every substantial pullback from here on out over the next 300 days as only a massive opportunity to go long. We also see that the stock market, for example, over the last week has been trending down. So want to keep an eye on that. We also see that over the last week, the dollar has been rising, but Bitcoin has been rising and kind of ignoring it. Usually if the dollar's pumping, Bitcoin's not pumping, but it has been pumping. And I think especially with this pro-crypto environment that we're seeing right now in the US, that might continue to be the case. Bitcoin may continue to just sucking the life out of gold as well. Really nothing's off the table for this bull run. It could honestly be more insane than anyone's expecting. And I think that trying to bet against this right now is kind of crazy. Even if we do get a dump, let's say we do come back down to this 21-day moving average right around 76,000 in a quick touch. To me, that's where I'm going to be entering the biggest longs that I can find. Okay, right? If we get that pullback, this is not the time to be scared. Basically, every dump that we get is an opportunity for at least the next 100 days. I personally think even a little more than that. But ultimately, And personally, as I've been mentioning, altcoins are really going to start lifting off soon, especially if Bitcoin, like let's say, for example, what if we don't get a massive dump, but we just kind of trade around 90,000 to 100,000 for the next couple of weeks? I think altcoins are really going to start actually picking up some steam in that period as well. Like when Bitcoin goes up in new all-time highs and kind of trades sideways, that's when altcoins usually perform the best. And get signed up to FeeMake's below if you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins or trade. And without any further ado, it's for me.